Hi. Hope you guys can hear me okay. And I hope you can see me all right. It's very hot here. It feels very similar to Indonesia, except for the humidity. You don't start sweating the second you walk out the door here. But as a result, I'm trying to not film in my yeah, I'm trying not to film in my closet because I'm trying not to turn the air conditioning on because it's noisy. So in here it'll be a little less hot. Salam sopan. Uh, sopan I don't actually know. It must not be a real common. Um, Thank you very much. It is very nice to be back. We had a wonderful time, but it was time to get home. When we got home, my son did so well. We dragged him all around by bus. He's actually doing much better with the jet lag than I am. This video is kind of a test because I've been up since 2. I'm totally exhausted. The jet lag's really bad. So I kind of was curious. About what a meditation would be like right now. If it'd be really awesome, as I don't feel totally connected to this world right now, or if it will just be completely incoherent. So we'll see. And I probably won't know till I listen to it a couple of days from now. But thank you guys for sticking with me during my trip. And hi, I didn't say hi to Tom. Hi, Tom. Hi, Tom. Hi, Guy. I'm glad you guys are here. If there are other people here, as I know there are, and you want to say hello, please do. And I'm just going to do a real brief update and then do a meditation with you guys. So not a lot has been going on other than Indonesia. So for those of you who are in my Facebook group, and if you're not, you can be, I put up a blog that one of the guys in the group wrote. So I went with a group from the university where my husband teaches. And it was very nice because it was with the chaplaincy program. So it was a religion-based trip. So it was to study all of the different religious practices in Bali, of which there are tons. Hello. If you want to give me your real name, Arab World, I will say hello, or I will just call you Arab World. So we went around and did a lot of things in Bali that I have never done before, even though I've been going for about 20 years. So I went and saw a full Buddhist blessing ceremony, which is something that just as a tourist or even an expat just living there, it's not something that I would generally see. But this was arranged by a friend of ours who lives here in town and is in the Indonesian music group that I perform in. And he is Balinese, and he was kind of our fixer while we were there. So he got us into a lot of things that we wouldn't normally get to see. Hi, Muddy. And so we went and did that. We went to the biggest temple on the island, which is called Samuan Tiga. We went to. I got blessed at the Mother Temple at Basaki, and so did my son, and he did a really good job. And we got to go into the sort of the inner part of the temple because we were with Balinese and we had offerings, and we sat there and we were all blessed and had the rice put on our foreheads and our throats, and we got holy water to drink, and burnt incense, and did the whole shebang. And I was very proud of my son, because luckily that was about 5 days in, and he had to just sit quietly, and he had to follow what they told him to do with his hands, and he did. And he did a great job. And what else did we do? They went up. The biggest temple is Hindu in Bali. Bali is Hindu, predominantly Hindu. The rest of Indonesia is predominantly Muslim, but Bali is Hindu, and it is a different kind of Hinduism, somewhat, than in India, and they have a lot of sort of indigenous practices as well. There's also Buddhism mixed in there. We went to a Gandhi ashram, where the man who was setting this up for us, the fixer, he actually grew up there at the Gandhi ashram. But it's kind of interesting, because now one of the and I'm not saying this, it's the biggest Hindu temple. It's the biggest Hindu temple in Bali. It's not the biggest Hindu temple by any means, but it's the biggest one in Bali. And Bali has now become this big mecca, especially after Eat, Pray, Love, for people going and doing yoga. At the end of our stay, after the students left, we went up to Ubud, which is where I have been going for the past 20 years, and often living kind of outside of Ubud, and we would go into Ubud periodically. Ubud is a completely different world now than it was 20 years ago, and I know every generation of expats says that. But the interesting part about Ubud now is Ubud is kind of being used as like a yoga retreat center. So people come to Bali. I think I didn't talk to. I don't go to Bali to talk to tourists very much, so I didn't talk to many tourists. So I don't really know, but my feeling from overhearing conversations in restaurants and things is that a lot of people are now coming to Bali for yoga rather than coming to Bali for Bali. So it could be a yoga retreat almost anywhere, because honestly, even though Bali is Hindu, yoga is not a part of Bali. It's not. I mean, they do it now, and people come and teach it, and the Balinese will teach it. They learn, but it's not part of the religion. Ayurveda is not part of Balinese Hinduism, really. They use traditional medicine, it's called jamu, and it's a different principle. One of the big things is masuk angin. The wind enters you. That's one of the reasons why you're sick, and they treat it with jamu, and they also treat it with massage. One of the reasons I am really interested in jamu is the massage aspect. One of the first things you do when you get sick is you have the local pijat lady, the local massage woman, come to your house. So we went and just did a lot of things that I have never done before. We went to a traditional village, and we sat in on a wedding reception, which I've done a lot of in Java, but not in Bali. And they're very different, because Java is Muslim and Bali is Hindu. And then the group went to a few things that I didn't go to. They went to a Christian village, which is out in the west. They went to, where else did they go? They went to a mosque, which I've been to many in Java, but not in Bali. And I did not go to the mosque because my son would have had to, my son was tired, and he would have had to be very polite and quiet. And I didn't think he was up to that. But we had a really good time. I really just mostly wanted to show it to my son, and he did a great job. He made friends with a lot of Balinese children, which is kind of what I wanted, because that's what will make him want to go back to Bali more than any kind of sightseeing. I did take a lot of pictures, so if you guys are on my Facebook, I will periodically be posting a bunch of pictures and show you guys places. But it was really a fabulous trip. The biggest problem is it's 36 hours worth of travel one way, which is pretty awful, no matter what. That's why I've never taken my son before, because when he was little, I couldn't imagine doing it with him. But he did a great job because he was able to watch TV, which he doesn't get to do a lot, and he got to watch kind of as much TV on the plane as he could. We flew on Singapore Airlines, which is a wonderful airline. I love them. I haven't gotten to fly on Singapore in many, many years because they are usually very expensive, but we got a good group rate deal because we were lumped in with the students, even though we had to pay for our own travel. So it was really a fabulous, fabulous trip. And I did manage to put up blogs throughout. My blog link is in the description, I believe. It should be. If not, you can find it on my website. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's been going on. Yeah, just the blogging, just doing a lot of blogging, putting a lot of meditations up. And I hope you guys are checking those out and enjoying those. I doubt Katie will be here in the middle of the day. I don't think Katie can usually make much in the middle of the day because she does so much for work. So I didn't think I'd catch a lot of people, although I'm excited that there's many of you people lurking who have not checked in. But I think with that, unless you guys have any questions, you're welcome to ask me any questions you have about the trip. Anything about kind of what that all entailed. If you have any questions about Bali, if you ever want to travel there, feel free to ask me. And I am curious what a meditation will be like because of my level of sleep deprivation. I can't even speak. It is a 12-hour time difference. So it feels like 5 a.m. I was hoping I'd start kind of getting a second wind right now, but I'm not, I think, because I didn't get a lot of sleep. I got about 6 hours of sleep last night, which is okay. But it just means that it's feeling very late in the evening since I've been up since 2. So let's get comfortable and let's go into meditation. You know what? I'm going to smudge. Since I'm right here and I have my Palo Santo, been smudging a lot because my house was empty for 2.5 weeks. So it smelled really musty and it needed some smudging. Smudging is good anyway. So I got some smoky Palo Santo, but I love the smell anyway. I'm going to smudge you guys. Smudge my computer. Oh, that's the other thing. I am buying a computer tomorrow when my credit card rolls over to next month. This computer is not only making terrible hard drive noises, but is now the screen is kind of broken. So you have to like hold the corner when you open and shut the laptop screen because it is no longer attached to the plastic on either side, the actual latch. I'm kind of amazed it made it through Bali. So I researched a little bit before we left, but while in Bali, I don't get paid for vacation time at my current job because I'm part-time. So I got no pay for 2 weeks. So I was just rationing a little bit to make sure that I didn't overspend this month when I have less income coming in. So it looks like I survived it. Kept my credit card bills pretty low. So I think when everything rolls over, I have no choice anyway, since I use a laptop for my work. I have to have, if this laptop crashes, I would have to go out and buy a laptop that day anyway. So I'd rather be able to pre-order a laptop for a probably lesser price than having to get one based on an emergency right away. And it'll give me a little bit of time, hopefully before this one completely dies, to kind of transfer things over so that work doesn't even know I had to switch things. So That's the only other big news. So hopefully we'll have less computer crash issues going on, and I will have more ability to record MP3s going forward. So let's get comfortable. My eyes are naturally closing anyway. I will try to keep an eye out to make sure that the computer doesn't crash like it always likes to when I'm doing meditations. If it does, I apologize ahead of time, but we will roll with it if that happens. I want you to take a few deep breaths. With each deep breath, I want you to release any worries, any concerns. They are not needed here. If you need to retrieve them after the meditation, they will still be here, although they may feel a bit lighter. You may have more clarity as to how to address them. I want you to find yourself laying in the grass out in a beautiful park. There are trees around, and you are shaded. There's a beautiful sun and a blue sky above. Feel the warmth of the air heated by the sun, and the coolness of the earth underneath you. And as you lay there, you feel as if the earth is pulling away from you. Things that are no longer moving you forward. The desires that you may have had once, but no longer fit who you are. The beliefs of who you needed to be, who may not fit what you want to be. The plans and concerns and the must-dos that on reflection are not really necessary. Your body begins to feel lighter as the earth composts all of those things that are dragging you down and keeping you from being who you truly are. And as you feel your body get lighter, you feel yourself rise from the earth. And slowly lift up into the sky. And soon you are pulled into a large white fluffy cloud. And as you do, your body seems to drift away until you are only energy. And in this cloud, you are surrounded by other energy beings. And they are all joined together in this cloud. And you feel at peace and you feel connected. And you feel the worries of the physical world as very disconnected from you. And your ultimate goals. While in this space, this is a good time to ask a question. Question of importance to you about who you are meant to be, how you are meant to move forward, and where you are meant to go. So ask that question, and you should hear the answers from all around you, or receive a thought or a picture or feeling, or maybe just a color. But ask and see what you receive and be grateful for what you are given. Ask how you are to remember what you have learned here. Thank the energy all around you and enjoy the feeling of connection for a few more moments. And know that this space is always here for you to help you gain perspective and help you to look at the bigger picture. Now, although it may be reluctantly, I want you to leave this cloud and begin to float back down into your physical body. First, into the vision of you on the park grass, and then into the body that is connected to this physical world. You may roll your shoulders, wiggle your fingers and toes, roll your head. When you're ready, open your eyes. And you can enjoy this feeling of being a bit out of body for a little bit, but soon you should eat or drink something, go outside and actually feel the earth or plants around you, but somehow ground yourself to this physical world and return to your physical body. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. That's a place I have been before. I wasn't expecting to take you there, but I have been there before, and it is very good for me to help disconnect a little bit from my everyday anxieties, and to remember that in the realm of things, most of them won't happen or have already happened. And otherwise, the ones that do come to fruition, most of them I will not remember a year from now. So it helps me to remember that when I am worrying about minor details. Sometimes that can happen, Guy. Sometimes I have had to connect with a certain energy up there, but often I hear sort of a collective answer, because I'm not looking for a specific voice. I'm looking for kind of a collective feeling or understanding. So you might want to try it again and look more for that instead of an actual words being spoken to you. So yeah, that might be helpful. It might also be helpful for you to take a guide with you who might be able to translate. Both of those would be worth trying. So I really appreciate you guys going on that little journey with me. It was a nice one. It has made me very sleepy. I've been doing meditation on and off this afternoon because I'm trying not to go to sleep until at least 6 o'clock. If I ever want to get over jet lag. But I'm so tired that I need something. So the meditation has been kind of sustaining me, but I'm trying not to fall asleep in meditation. So this was helpful. I can't fall asleep when I'm talking. Hi, Sam. I'm glad you're here. That's interesting, Tom. I wonder if there's another way to ask the question, to maybe ask them to give you a picture instead. Tom, I don't know what is, you may have a certain sense that you tap into a little better. Sometimes what I have my guides do is to show me instead of telling me. So they'll take me somewhere and they'll show me what I need to know instead of telling me when I'm getting kind of cryptic answers. It's also helpful to have, I have sort of, this is going to sound entirely crazy, but that's okay. I have kind of a pantheon of guides, and I have 7 main guides that I talk to on a regular basis, and they somewhat correspond with my chakras. So I go to certain guides for certain types of answers. And I think, and whether you believe that the guides are real or if they're in your head, it doesn't really matter. But I think going to certain guides, sort of knowing that you're expecting a certain kind of answer, I think helps narrow it down a little bit. And I tend to get clearer responses that way. I don't know if that would be helpful for you. I kind of feel that way as well, Tom. And I'm ready to be proven wrong. But that's one of the reasons why the chakra system works well for me. So I have a main teacher guide. And if I want kind of an overall answer, I'll go to him. But I have a guide that's tapped into spirituality for me. I have a guide that's sort of my inner child. I have a guide that's my grandma, and she represents love. And so when I have questions about love, I go to her. I have a guide for creativity, and I go to him for certain things. So I think kind of having given my guides certain personalities, or my guides naturally have certain personalities depending on whatever your beliefs are about what happens in meditation. I think it's a bit more helpful for me because I think it narrows down what kind of answer I'm going to get from them. I mean, they surprise me regularly, but I think it helps narrow it down a little bit. And I think that's helpful. So I don't know if that would be worthwhile for you to sort of give, if you have recurring guides, to give them personalities or give them focuses. So, yeah, I mean, I think all of these things that I do, and again, I am always ready to be proven wrong, because I do think there are energies out there that we don't understand. I think there are also energies in our brains that we don't understand. And one of the ways that I really use sort of everything, so the way I use tarot is to sort of get at an unconscious, or to get at another way of looking at a problem for me. Kind of looking outside the box. The cards help me to look at other possibilities. I use astrology in the same way. I use astrology in terms of goal setting. So what sign is this full moon in? What does that sign sort of represent? And are there goals around that kind of area that I need to focus on for this month? So that's one of the ways I use astrology. I think of both tarot and astrology for me. I don't focus on prediction as much with either of them. I focus more on ways of looking at my current situation. And with meditation, I really do feel like I tap into something outside of my thinking mind. And again, it may be unconscious, it may be collective conscious, it may be energies completely outside of me. I don't know what it is, but it pulls me out of my thinking mind, and my thinking mind is very limited. So regardless of how it comes to be, and I think we don't understand the human brain enough, and I don't think we will in my lifetime, to have any idea where that comes from. It helps me to move beyond what my thinking mind can do. Well, then guides may not be the right way for you to go. I tend to hear people talking to me. That makes me sound completely insane. My guides talk to me pretty readily. And that's kind of, even outside of meditation, just like daydreams. A lot of my daydreams, and my kind of obsessive thinking, when I do obsessive thinking, is conversations that I'm going to have with people. So having a conversation with a guide comes very naturally to me. For you, Tom, you may need more of the visual. So you may need to, and it's very possible when I say, you find a guide there, that just disregard me. If the guides don't work for you, in terms of asking questions, then ask for something different that works for you. If you found in meditation that other things work better for you, you can always substitute that for what I'm saying. So, yeah, I really believe, Guy, that we know so little about this world and about even ourselves, that there are quite a lot of possibilities out there. And science is finding a lot of that too. Science is constantly finding new things that they didn't think were possible. And I think we will for a long time. So things that, I mean, I think, unfortunately, with a lot of the metaphysical stuff, I think that over time, we will find science to support some of it, and the rest we have sort of created to try and understand what science couldn't yet. And once science explains it, the stuff that makes no sense will fall away. But I often think it's kind of, the science will be fascinating, but if I can get there from another route, I don't really care if the science will completely back that up or not, in some ways. So part of it is, the ends justify the means for me. So like with tarot and things like that, regardless of whether I think they truly predict things or not, they are helpful for me in figuring things out. So I'm going to use them with or without the science. So I am ready to have someone, I am ready for any kind of scientific study to be proven. I mean, they have all these things coming out about, the world is a hologram and things like that. And, who knows? Who knows? And it's going to be far beyond me, because science is definitely not my forte. As much as I find it interesting, I cannot grasp physics. I cannot grasp to save my life. I tried, and my husband is very scientific oriented in many ways. He was building lasers when we were kids and things like that. But it really goes over my head. I think because at a certain point you just have to accept what science understands, and I always want to know more about it, and we just don't have all that knowledge, and so I just get waylaid and I can't and I can't move there. So Tom, I completely agree. And again, my background is in social work and psychology, and that's what's really interesting to me. So if something moves me forward psychologically, here's the one caveat that I have. So it's, in some ways, I don't talk about this a whole lot, because I think that you have to have some mental buy-in for things to work. So if you spend too much time questioning, where do my guides come from? Are my guides real? Within my brain? Or if you spend too much time on that, I think you end up not getting the benefits that you could get from doing the meditation. I go with how I feel when I do it. When I do meditation, it feels like something outside of me. And even if it's just outside of my thinking mind, it feels like something that I could not sit down and just mentally think out. It feels more profound than that. And I don't want to lose that because I just negate the experience because I've decided it's not valid if the guides are not completely outside of me, if they're somewhere in my head. The experience is worth it to me to suspend disbelief for a little while, in order to not lose the benefits of it. And I also know myself well enough to know that my opinions about this will change throughout my whole life. So what I'm saying to you right now, 5 years from now, I will probably have totally different feelings about it. And I don't know what they will be. So yeah, I am constantly looking for ways to dupe my brain into doing what I want it to do. And the one thing that I have found from the science that is coming out now is our what we think is reality is very, very liquid. Memories are so rarely actually based on the truth, especially memories we think about a lot. The more we think about a memory, the less accurate it is. So memories that I feel are real bases of who I am and why I do what I do are probably falsehoods quite a bit. For a long time, I had a very fixed mindset that you are who you are. Um, you are kind of born with certain tendencies, and you can change things a little and grow a little, but you don't go too far from the mark. And as I get older, I realize that's really not true, for me at least. And that I am very fluid and I change quite a bit. And even though I kind of try to hold on to this semblance of who I am and I create this story about it, that honestly, I have a very, very different mindset than I did in my 20s. And the person I was in my 20s is very different than who I am now. I mean, I just think in my 20s, I would have told you I never wanted to have children. And I was really dead set on that because I felt I was too selfish and I wanted a career. And uh, and I can now incorporate the change that I wanted a child very badly. As I got older, I can incorporate that into who I am now. But honestly, if you took snapshots of that person and who I am now, we're very different people. So that's complicated. And then all this, the studies, they have of how you react, and then your brain comes up with a reason for why you reacted, just kind of blows all of this things because I am this certain way, it kind of blows it out of the water. So however I can dupe my brain into moving me forward in the way I want to, I'm doing it. I have a guide who is called Mary Kate. And she has aspects of our lovely Kate. Not Katie, but Kate. And she's not Kate, because I don't know. The problem with the McFreak clan that we have here is I am well aware that I know little bits and pieces of you guys, but especially because I know you mostly through the internet, I know there are huge parts of each one of you that I know nothing about. So I have had some of you guys kind of show up in meditation, but more as kind of we're hanging around together instead of having you guys as guides. Because honestly, I would feel like I was making you up a little bit. It was really weird to me because I know that we have a connection in certain areas, but I also know there are huge parts of who you guys are that I just don't know because we just don't discuss those areas as part of our regular internet interaction. Yeah, I think that's true too, Guy, but I think it's also, for some of us, it's more malleable than others. There's a really good book I'm reading right now, which is called Switch, and it talks about making changes in your life. And I'm at the section where it's talking about your mindset and whether you feel you can make changes in who you are and whether you're not. I actually just read it recently, read that section. And I realized that in my youth, I had a very fixed mindset, and it really held me back quite a lot because I would not do anything that did not come easily for me, because I really had this belief that I had inherent gifts and talents, which I think in some ways you do. But the false belief that I had was that those are the only things you should pursue, the things that you are naturally good at, and the rest are not worth the effort. And as I get older, one of the things that I do believe is that I actually need to seek out the things that I'm bad at. And working at the things that I am bad at and getting better at them, if they are things I enjoy doing, that it actually changes my brain, that it makes my brain work better. So I play this gamelan music, this Indonesian music. It is very fast. It is all memorized, and the pieces are often very difficult for me as a non-trained musician, although some people will say that you almost do better at gamelan as a non-trained Western musician because you don't have Western musical training hang-ups. It is very, very difficult for me. The memorization part is very difficult for me. And my hands are not very fast. And I'm not a trained musician, so I'm coming at it sort of creating my own constructs to be able to remember what I'm doing. I think it has had profound effects on my brain. I think the memorization piece, even though somebody's never going to come up and hold a gun to my head and say, play Lencare, that memorization process also means I think the process of doing that on a weekly basis also means I find my keys more often because I am forcing myself to remember things and to figure out to make my brain remember things. I don't think Miss Rose needs to meditate. She's kind of in that world. She doesn't need to go to that world. I actually saw a really interesting picture. Beyonce apparently did a picture kind of as a tribute to Maman Brigitte, who Miss Rose is kind of morphed into. I wouldn't say she's based on. She morphed into Maman Brigitte. And it's a pretty cool picture with a top hat pulled down to about here and just flipping off the camera with both fingers and both hands. And it's a pretty cool picture. So, all right. I can whisper, but I don't think I'm going to whisper tonight. I think I am going to call it quits and try to stay awake for another half hour. No, Miss Rose didn't give birth to the Baron. She created Baron. He is a golem. So you just have to look up what a golem. He's a golem. She created a dummy and then gave him life, but did not give birth to him. So that's why she unzips him in a certain video. I finally shared some of my ASMR videos with a high school friend who's also a bit of a weirdo. So I figured she would understand it a little bit if she's listening. Hi. And she was like, it's not that weird, except for maybe the Baron. I was like, well, yeah, the Baron's a little weird. But, well, he's not a golem like Lord of the Rings. He's a golem like Jewish mysticism. He's the golem, and I'm gonna don't quote me, but Gollum was a man created out of clay and given life. He was, I believe, a giant. I don't know a whole lot about it, but no, he wasn't. He wasn't a golem like Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I don't know what the Baron's voice has got to be pretty creepy because he's like ushers in the dead. So he and my mom Brigitte often have skull faces. So they're really interesting. They're really interesting characters, but we'll see. All right. Good night, guys. I'm going to try and keep myself awake for a little bit. And I am so happy you guys were here. I'm so happy to check in. Hopefully I'll be able to do videos again coming up here. My husband is still in Indonesia for the next 2 weeks, so it will be touch and go. My son is away for the evening, so I knew I should try to do one if I could stay awake today, because I don't know when I'll get to do another one. So, yes. You know, actually, that's not true with Miss Rose. Miss Rose, every once in a while, breaks character on purpose. She talks like this on a regular basis, and she's very proper. When she gets mad, she dips down into my voice. and I've done that consciously. That's not just me forgetting to be Miss, consciously kind of had her drop the high-pitched voice when she's pissed. So, all right. Bye. I love you guys. I will hopefully sleep. And if I go to bed at 6 and sleep till 2, I'll still be good. So have a wonderful long weekend for those of you who have one. I do not, because I took so much time off. So I'm working every day for the long weekend. But that's okay, because I will have a paycheck that reflects it at the end. So, all right, guys. I love you. Hopefully the new computer will be less noisy than this one. We'll get some good videos coming up. Okay. If you guys have not checked out my website, check out my website. It's down below. I also, for those of you who are in the clearing workshop, that is actually now available with the videos. You guys don't need it because you have everything. But those of you who are not in the clearing workshop, it is called Make Room for Abundance. It was a really fun workshop. It is available on Gumroad, and that's down in the description too. If you love these meditations, it's got more than 5 hours worth of meditation videos, along with activities and an ebook. So have a great evening, and I will check in with you guys all soon. If you're not in the Facebook group, definitely join so that you know when these live videos are coming up. Okay, love you. Good night.